that on the side. I'll listen to the audio because I see video as well, so we're good there.
Get ready.
Uh,
Okay, so
I'm doing well
hopefully,
in Dota TV.
I think it's fixed now.
Okay, guys, don't get your hopes
Two
up, but
minute
we might
delay.
have it fixed.
Okay. I think it will fix in 2 minutes. Okay, so thanks for sticking with us. Let's go through our lineups. We do have a Spirit Breaker pick, as you said, and also a Phoenix, so I'm rooting for Vega secretly because they have awesome heroes. Afterlife, playing on that Phoenix towards the off-lane, mid-lane, Death Prophet, handled by no one, and safe lane, tri-lane, made by Stallioner on the Viper, supported by the Dazzle of Arzeek, and then we're going to have a position 4 Spirit Breaker by Seema the Slayer.
All right, so for VP Polar, FNG is going to be playing that Vengeful Spirit. Lil is going to be on a Skywrath Mage with Illidan Stormrage on the Morphling, not Naga Siren. DK Phobos is going to be playing the Puck as per usual, and Mag is going to be handling the Tide Hunter on the off lane. So support pick, I suppose. It is going to be a Spirit Breaker. Not exactly the hero that we see every day. Doesn't really it's kind of out of line with Dazzle, as one's inherently defensive, one's inherently offensive. But still, the Spirit Breaker is able to apply a lot of pressure to these lanes, pretty much no matter who he's with.
Definitely. Invis Rune going to be secured by Arzeek as well as by Seema the Slayer. Let's see where they go with this. Poison Touch and Charge level 1. They definitely can find a kill. Although on a Tide Hunter, it's going to be problematic unless they have poison attacks involved from Stallioner. So we'll just have to see what this actually nets for them. Looks like it's just going to zone out the Tide.
Oh, we're good. We're totally good right now.
Excellent.
So it must be on my end then. I don't know. We were just fine yesterday. Whatever, man. I don't even freaking know.
Okay, so we are all set to go. Phoenix is an offlaner, not something we get to see very often. A lot of teams are very iffy about running it and going boots first on this Phoenix. Pretty much already being forced to use all of the regen. That's at least 3 tangos out just by the Skywrath Mage harass. You need to go into the lane with more regen if you're going up against the Skywrath, especially as a Phoenix, a very low HP hero.
Yeah, you either have to pick up more regen or get some sort of armor. I mean, he has no resistances against any of these attacks. And Skywrath Mage, I mean, he's not hitting the hardest as far as support heroes are concerned, but 600 range is really where the power of the Skywrath Mage comes in this particular lane. Phoenix can't get close, and if he does get close, he's going to be taking so much damage just from right clicks alone. He has no alternatives here either, so this is certainly one of the weaknesses of Phoenix in the solo off lane, is that he gets zoned out very, very easily, even though he is a ranged hero.
Yeah, and even though he has an escape, which inherently costs him HP, and honestly, you can't put any pressure on the Morphling in this situation, so Morph is going to be able to see us very easily wherever he wants to. But then again, for the Tide Hunter, things aren't looking too great either, but definitely heaps better than the Phoenix. At least he's able to find his level 2.
We're towards mid. No one and DK Phobos getting into a slugfest. However, here comes the X Factor, the hero that no one expects. Cows from nowhere. It will be phase shifted. That was kind of anticlimactic and then orbed out. Man, okay, I guess that was kind of underwhelming, but that is something that Puck would just do all the time.
Afterlife forced to Icarus dive away from the rune, and honestly, where does the Phoenix go in this situation? As far as heroes are concerned, can't really farm jungle very effectively at this point in the game, but honestly you might have to. This medium camp over here, you can pull it over the side, and although it would be a very slow experience, it's still possible. Mag getting dove very deep. They're going to end up pulling out. Seema the Slayer has yet to have a successful charge, but either way, it's going to be some pressure onto this tier 1 tower down at bottom in the favor of Vega.
Is there anyone that he could actually charge reliably? It seems like the supports are going to be, as per usual, the easiest targets, but they're all the way up on top lane, and they're probably going to be very close to one another. With only, well, with 0 heroes up there, it's unlikely that they'll actually get any kills. Tide Hunter seems possible, but unlikely. So Spirit Breaker, if you're not actually doing that much in the early game, he's not exactly like a Tusk. He doesn't have, you know, other things to fall back on, such as defensive snowballs or a sigil. He needs to be smashing things pretty early.
Afterlife just made me incredibly sad. He was looking to cliff jungle here, and it would have worked out, but this tree's in the way.
Does he have one more tango?
Nope.
He doesn't.
So he's completely
Precision?
boned.
Oh, you missed again?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, things aren't great for the Phoenix. I think his game is pretty much over.
Poor Phoenix. I mean, he's made of fire. Can't you just get rid of the tree? Wouldn't that be so easy? Just burn it a little bit, sit next to it and wait till it catches on fire, but Phoenix just needs a Tango or a Quelling Blade. Then he could start pseudo-jungling or a Smoke. That is something that I did not expect. Is there any way that this Phoenix level 1 can actually get something done with this item?
I would say no. It's a 24 or 25% slow, which is pretty good for 4 seconds. Not the worst, but he's going to try going back up towards the top lane. I don't really see this working out, but I suppose since the supports aren't really babysitting the lane, maybe he can get a little bit of experience. But also, if you look at the lane equilibrium, it's completely under the tower for the Morphling. There is not a chance that Phoenix is able to get anything.
Being chased down by Siema, but looks like the Tidehunter is tanky enough to survive. And looks like Afterlife is going to be jumped. He did not expect that to happen. Just trying to farm for the low ground. His movement on the top lane was spotted by an Observer Ward from the Dire. So Phoenix, as you said, is not going to have a good game.
Yeah, once you have level 3 in the Scarlet Mage, killing that Phoenix is incredibly easy. Just the silence stopping him from Icarus diving, that's his only defensive tool. And it is a very squishy hero. 0 armor to start out with, usually you'll look for a Ring of Protection early on. But this just wasn't the case. Phoenix is actually level 1 at 5 minutes in. I don't think this is really salvageable.
Alright, apparently we have some frame rate issues on your end.
It's
Frame
not
drops?
It's not frame drops.
Okay, well, bottom lane Mag is going to get dove one more time. That is a hell of a lot of damage coming out from level 3 Nether Toxin. Guys, we have no idea what's causing these issues. There are just so many things that are going wrong right now just on the tech end. So we'll try to fix it on the fly, but there's no guarantees right now. But either way, they kill off the Tidehunter down towards the bottom lane. Stallion going for one of the most aggressive Viper builds you can go for. Up against a Tidehunter with a Spirit Breaker backup, this is actually not a terrible idea. I mean, you don't want to take a super long drawn engagement versus Tide. You want to kill him off quickly, and that's what Nether Toxin does.
Yeah, and yeah, I quite like that choice. Phoenix still has yet to get his level 2, and we have been harping on him for quite a lot, but for now, Vega are pretty much fighting 4v5. The 4 that they have are pretty solid heroes, but then again, you also have a Dazzle who doesn't really offer anything aggressively. He can heal up the Phoenix and help out here and there, but can't really do anything. For now, they've left Morphling completely alone up in this top lane. He'll get his power treads, and even though he hasn't been involved in a kill yet, the supports took down the Phoenix solo. We're looking for a very fast whatever Illidan is building on this morph, and it's going to be incredibly scary for them to deal with. Honestly, I probably would have hoped for one of these safe lane farmers to go for a Midas, but for now, their build is going to be exactly the same. Phoenix up top, silenced up, concussive shot, the waveform over the top, and he's gone. You just can't catch a break.
Yeah, I mean, that's a level 2 hero versus a level 6 hero and a level 4 hero, so that in and of itself means you're screwed. Waveform, 250 damage, amplified by an Ancient Seal that's level 2. There's no way you could handle that, and Illidan Stormrage, he's eventually going to get to a point where he can't, completely do that by himself, but he'll get pretty darn close, so you never want to give free farm to a Morphling. You sure as hell never want to give free farm to Illidan, and you definitely don't want to give free farm to them both, so this is going to be kind of just a ticking time bomb on the top lane that Vega are going to have to deal with eventually, and their supports, they're not really capable of killing off a Morphling. Charge is very unlikely to land, and Dazzle is just completely useless when you're trying to kill a Morphling.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, things are looking really down for Vega, and honestly, I think this is one of the reasons why Phoenix isn't picked up very much, is because in some lanes, he just can't accomplish anything, especially when it's a triple ranged lane. It's just not a happy time if you're a Phoenix. Skywrath Mage also incredibly good against that hero, just innately. Either way, Death Prophet's still doing serviceably up in mid against the Puck, but then again, Puck is also CSing just fine on top of that. So I think mid is more or less a wash, and let's see if Vega are going to be able to get enough out of Stallion. They really need to make this Viper work incredibly hard.
Well, this is probably the first step at doing so. Go towards the bottom lane, take down a tier 1 tower, and then use the Nether Toxin damage to do so. Pretty easily done there. They need definitely a little bit more, since he's really the only one having a good time, as no one's going to get coiled over towards mid. Unfortunately, Lil is a little bit too far away to immediately help out, but they will help out eventually, throwing an orb through, amplified by the seal. No one's going to try to loop around, but that won't work. DK Phobos is going to misuse his phase shift. Now he's in quite a bit of trouble. Here comes the Phoenix and the Space Cow. DK Phobos, one more hit is going to kill him off, and he will go down, making it a 1-for-1 Afterlife, barely lipping out of there with his life just because level 3 Phoenix. But at least he got something. At least it was a trade for Vega.
Definitely. Now with an on Spirit Breaker, maybe they can look for a couple more aggressive dives, especially on the supports. Vengeful Spirit and Skywrath Mage are unlikely to survive up against the charges of the Spirit Breaker, and since Puck previously used his phase shift, if he doesn't have his defensive spells, he is also a pretty easy mark. Yeah, for now, even though there is some aggressive potential coming up from the sports, especially for Virtus Pro Polar's pair, Vengeful Spirit and Skywrath can look for some aggressive rotations. Most of the action has been isolated in small little spurts, and honestly, I don't think that's going to change very much. Finally, the Phoenix has level 4 as well as Tranquil Boots, but even if this Phoenix was on even footing with the Tidehunter, his immediate impact doesn't compare at all to a Ravage, which is now up for Mag.
Top is going to start the charge. Illidan Storm Rage going to start morphing into that strength. Icarus dive forward. He's taking a little bit of damage, but it's definitely not enough. What else could they have done? Now Illidan Storm Rage even going to turn around. Ballsy as hell, but Morphling is going to get away with it. Just got to show them who's boss, I suppose. They needed one more hero there. If Death Prophet was there, or if the Viper was there, then Morphling probably would have gone down there, but the Dazzle certainly has not been doing that much this game.
Yeah, he really hasn't. Arzeek does have level 6, and maybe that'll help them get some usage out of Exorcism inside a team fight. But right now, Vega, they just lack control more than anything. Pretty much all that they have is Spirit Breaker and his charge as far as hard lockdown is concerned, and even that isn't incredibly hard to dodge if you're a Morphling. Or a puck. Just evading, getting to safety, strength morphing. These heroes are incredibly elusive, and, well, they are going to smoke, and they find themselves in FNG. The Icarus dive over the top, Poison Touch, and now charge him. FNG looks to be dead. He'll throw a Magic Missile into Afterlife, but ends up getting bashed down. It is going to be Phoenix, drawing a kill, and it's what these supports need to be doing, especially if they don't get caught out. But now with the Ravage landing onto literally everybody, no one dropped down inside the Mystic Flare. Now Arzeek is living because of a TP after the Shallow Grave. Do they have any way to cancel it? No, they do not. Seema, man fighting up against Lil, trying to drop him low. That Urn Tick looks like it is going to be fatal. Seema will make a clean TP out, but with the salve, it looks like Lil is also going to survive.
Oh, but Stallianer, you're way too late to the party. What are you doing here? There's nothing else here for you. Maybe there is, because he walked in and has a Vanguard, level 3 Corrosive Skin, so he's just going to be able to walk out. But still, VP, they, as you said, hit everyone with the Ravage, and they take a decent enough trade following. Unfortunately, lacking the damage to actually kill off the Spirit Breaker, and Seema's actually still going in on this one. Would not recommend. There we go. He's going to back off for now, but Earn Charge Spirit Breaker. He was doing some serious damage to the Skywrath Mage, unfortunately was just short, but those are the types of things that you kind of want to be doing as Spirit Breaker. Taking random fights like that. Hopefully retreating next time a little bit easier, but those types of skirmishes are right up Spirit Breaker's alley.
Definitely. For now, with Ravage down, Vega might have an opening to go for more of the skirmishes, and they also have Exorcism with the maxed out Witchcraft. So maybe they'll be able to take another tower on top of this. You talked about Vanguard, or rather just mentioned the Vanguard on Stallianer right now. I think it's an okay choice, but honestly, since nobody else is building it, mech might have been better. They're charging up towards top, but do they honestly think they can kill Illidan Storm Rage? I don't think so. Looks like they just want to counter push the lane that he's putting pressure on. The tier 1 tower in mid isn't looking too healthy, but then again, Illidan Storm Rage is well behind where they can actually kill him. Viper's too far behind the Spirit Breaker.
That's what happens when you have only level 1 charge. The enemy gets a lot of distance between where you started the charge and when you end the charge. If the Viper and the Phoenix were right there, then maybe the Morphling would have actually gone down. It would have certainly been very close. Illidan Storm Rage had no replicate up, he had no TP. So the kill was possible, but they just need a little bit more as far as locking down this Morphling. He's getting hit by the charges, which is certainly very nice for Vega, but it's kind of irrelevant when he's all the way into the river already by the time you actually catch up with him.
Well, it looks like it's going to be Vega again attempting to push down the middle lane. They will pop Exorcism. That should mean that this tower is going to fall. With Virtus Pro Polar not really in position to defend. Lil's going to be tagged by one poison attack of the Viper, but that's about it.
There's a Ravage cooling down, now cooled down on Tidehunter, so if Vega want to go for the same exact play elsewhere, they're going to have to work a little bit harder for it. Illidan Storm Rage up on top is going to stand right in one place and then blast the Spirit Breaker out of his charge, but it might be a mistake because he actually was not retreating the entire time. He's going to be chased down. Now the Supernova plus Exorcism still ticking away. Illidan needs a little bit more. He's going to try to Strength Morph, running out of mana, but it looks like he will be fine unless another charge is there. Ravage is going to be committed onto Seema only in order to save Illidan. I think that's worthwhile, although Afterlife back from his son is going to dive forward, not find anyone else. Unfortunately, DK Phobos is also going to retreat as Lil comes in, kills off Seema. Now he's going to go for Arzeek, silenced up so he can't get the grave off. No one, as well as Afterlife, the only ones left left alive. However, here comes the Viper, and this is not a fight that VP Polar can actually take once the Viper joins in. Lil is going to try to straight TP out of here. He might make it out. No, he won't. Illidan Stormrage is back in this fight, made a replicate earlier. No one's going to drop very, very low, but Puck unfortunately unable to get that kill. Illidan still looking for an opening, but he can't quite find anyone, as Stellioner is just going to run zoning duty on everyone else, keeping Afterlife safe, forcing everyone from VP Polar out. It's not the worst for VP Polar, but man, you have to avoid fights with this Viper right now.
Yeah, you really do. And speaking of the Viper, he's almost at that Crimson Guard, where this item gets really scary. On ranged heroes, even, you will get that 50% damage block, or 50 damage block, excuse me. And once you have that, it's going to be so hard for them to take fights. Jaunt up the high ground coming out from DK. Phobos is going to keep himself alive, but now with the Viper Strike, it's going to be committed towards Illidan Stormrage. He's already used his waveform, trying to strike work through this. It might not be enough if there's any backup for the Viper swapped in. That might have actually hurt more than helped, as Stellioner is able to clean up the Morphling's life. Magic Missile is going to delay this a little bit longer. Now Concussive Shot should be the time to retreat for Vega.
It was pretty much inevitable. If Illidan Stormrage is playing like that for so long, he was eventually going to die at some point. This time, of course, was a lot more defensively positioned, but again, the Viper at this point is the most terrifying hero on the map. Even though Morphling, he could do a lot of damage, he doesn't have the kit that Viper has. He doesn't have the survivability that Viper has. Now with the equipped Crimson Guard, Stellioner is going to be the hardest thing for VP Polar to deal with. Their physical damage, Anchor Smash, Morphling, everyone else pretty much doing full-on magical. Vengeful Spear, I suppose, going to help with the Wave of Terror. But there is no great way for VP Polar to actually kill off this Viper. It's probably more feasible that they kill off everyone else and leave the Viper to last, but this Viper is also doing some serious damage, so this is going to be very tough for VP Polar to deal with. Maybe they're just going to avoid the fights and, you know, just dodge the issue.
Yeah, they'll go for a tier 1 tower in mid. Although Dazzle's there to heal over it, it doesn't really matter all that much. Illidan Stormrage is still able to put a decent amount. Now silenced up, our Zeke walks through Mystic Flare, and he's going to drop to one more Arcane Bolt. The tier 1 tower in the meantime is dropping. More from the Morphling is going to keep himself safe, but Spirit Breaker hasn't canceled the charge. There we go. Seema is going to stop that train. Tier 1 tower up top looks like it is going to fall, but the one in mid on the Radiant side is still standing, as the Morphling wasn't able to stick around.
Alright, so we have a couple of items coming up. We have a Blink Dagger that's going to be soon to be purchased on the Tidehunter. DK Phobos going for the fairly standard Hannah Midas straight after Blink, which I think is always a pretty, or generally a pretty good way to go, and this game should be no exception to that. Right now, VP, they are more or less ready to fight. They have Blink Dagger on Tidehunter with a Ravage armed, and as far as their fighting capacity, it doesn't really get that much better. They also have a Coil, and they have a Mystic Flare in 10. And it looks like they'll have a chance to use all those skills because Vega, they want to go for a little bit more pushing. Their Death Prophet doesn't have that much mana, though. She does have a Bottle Charge. You generally want to go into a fight with a little bit more than, 300 mana.
Definitely. Well, tier 2 tower looks like that's going to be the next mark for Vega. This is very risky. They have smoked up on the Tidehunter as well as the Venge, looking for a big wraparound. Although their positioning isn't really conducive to a large Ravage, so they might not actually find anything. Let's see how this actually goes down. The smoke is going to break onto Mag. Boinkin looking for the Ravage, connects onto 2. No one going to eat a Mystic Flare. The Eul Scepter is going to disjoint a little bit of that damage as the Dazzles drop down. The Sun from the Phoenix is not being focused, and it looks like it is going to succeed while the Death Prophet's brought down on the sideline. Spirit Breaker does kill off the Venge, and now the Tidehunter is going to make his way all the way back to base. Icarus dive over the top, waveform over to the other side of the fight. Illidan Stormrage strength morphing, and it looks like he's going to be just fine, although body blocked a little bit by the Skywrath Mage. Silence up onto Stellioner. They can't go for much more. The Spirit Breaker does stop a charge, I believe. Doesn't actually connect after a phase shift coming out from the puck, and after all is said and done, looks like a 2-for-1 trade.
Right, so VP Polar, they get a decent enough fight. Ravage into Mystic Flare didn't quite connect on the Death Prophet, but the fact of the matter is they got the Death Prophet down. They also took out the Dazzle, so there was no one to Shallow Grave, no one to heal. Doesn't really matter, though, because Vega already did some serious damage to the Tier 2, and with Stellioner pretty much taking no damage that entire fight, I mean, he's just going to destroy the rest of that Tier 2 tower's health with the Dazzle coming right back in. So VP Polar, they had an okay fight, but it certainly has to be a little bit better because they didn't actually defend because they lost the tower. So it has to be them getting a little bit more farm. They have to have someone to do a little bit more damage a little bit faster or get a pick off and avoid the massive fights. They're going to catch Afterlife, but Lil's just going to fall short at killing him off with that Mystic Flare.
And now Lil getting charged up. I think the Spirit Breaker should cancel this one, just using it to get back out to the lane ASAP. Spirit Breaker, as far as his build is concerned, has picked up a little bit of armor for himself. Seema is going to cancel it on the other side of the river. Yeah. Maybe this is a medallion for Vega. I'm not exactly sure where Seema goes with this Spirit Breaker builds. And honestly, I'm not sure if that matters all that much. Haven't really seen the ultimate being put to great use, but has been involved in a couple of kills and has been charging around 2, 1, and 3. Seema has been active enough on the map.
When you're playing this very budget-y Spirit Breaker build, the bare minimum is that you want to survive and you want to try to get as many stuns on the enemy as possible, which means land a charge, land a Nether Strike. After that, everything else is pretty much optional. They're going to go for Arzeek down towards bottom. He's going to Shallow Grave TP. With nothing to stun him, he will be just fine. But the Spirit Breaker, he's going to go for the Chainmail. Whether that's Blade Mail or Medallion, honestly doesn't really matter, as it'll all give him armor. They're going to try to jump Stallioner up towards top. Do VP Polar have enough to do this? He's going to snap the coil, taking quite a bit of damage from Illidan Storm Rage. Will it be enough? He's going to waveform out and dodge the Viper Strike. That looks like it'll be a kill, but man, that took a hell of a long time.
Yeah, with 50 damage block on a Viper of all heroes, it's very hard to bring him down. After that, looks like Yasha is going to be a choice for the Viper, presumably just into Mantis style, a very peculiar Viper build, or at least one that I'm not accustomed to, but it is very difficult to bring down. If he had any sort of backup there, they might have been able to make a turn.
Yeah, maybe even this Phoenix, who now level 8, still not doing the best, but is going to be going for the mech for the team. Afterlife's contributions, you know, it's actually a lot more impressive than I thought. If you have a level 1 Phoenix, 4 minutes into the game, usually you're like, okay, well, Phoenix is just not going to be an issue, but his Supernovas have been zoning people out as they have, you know, as it typically does. He's been landing Icarus dives, he's been landing Fire Spirits, even though they're not quite maxed out, especially that Icarus dive. It's doing pretty decently, all things considered. Once he has the mech, he will be able to have contributions pretty much no matter what his skill status is.
Yeah, more or less, especially when VP Polar don't have a great way to kill the Supernova. Inside the last couple of fights, he's been able to succeed in getting that off, and even though the stun didn't really hit much in that last fight, we'll just have to see how that's going to work out for them. If he's able to drop the Fire Spirits onto VP Polar, it's unlikely that they'll actually get close enough to killing it.
Man, it's like the same situation that happened up on top lane. Everyone from VP trying to kill off Stallioner, except they have Fire Spirit debuff on them. That kill is just not going to happen. Illidan Storm Rage is going to try to go for this Dazzle. He's going to put some serious damage into the hero, but Shallow Grave TP, and he's going to be just fine. I suppose Illidan Storm Rage is going to replicate out, so he's also going to be just fine. Not much lost on either side, but certainly it's very difficult for the Morphling to even kill off that support. Even if there was no Shallow Grave, that is probably Dazzle surviving for a lot longer than Illidan is comfortable with, so his damage is going to have to ramp up a little bit more in the future. Mantis Style is a good item to start, but it needs a little bit more or more support, and it looks like support's coming in spades. They're going to actually miss the waveform. Stallioner is going to get a little bit of a break there, but he's going to be chased down by Mag. Ravage getting committed with the Mystic Flare combo. They really want to kill off this Viper, and they will be able to. Here comes Seema, suddenly in a 1v4. You probably don't want to be here, Spirit Breaker. He's going to try to make a retreat, and it looks like Illidan, kind of low on mana, is not going to be able to give chase. They commit a lot to kill off this Viper. This is going to open the door for Vega to go for a push because they do have Exorcism. Seema, well, he's going to charge away, no Adaptive Strike to cancel, and looks like the Space Cow is free and clear. But that was really expensive for VP Polar. Was that worth it?
I don't think so. They still get to pick off on the best farming hero on the Radiant side, so it's not all terrible for them. If you are going to blow that many ultimates, it better be that Viper that you're killing off. But still, this is going to give quite an opening for Vega, where they have Exorcism, where they have all of their heroes, and where they can look to push into a tier 2 tower. They have a mechanism on the Phoenix as well. So I think grouping up and looking for the push is probably the best choice for them. Puck, even though in net worth is ahead of the Death Prophet, 2,000 of that is inside the Midas, so effectively just running with the Blink and Yules, which isn't bad for this time in the game, but it's definitely something that Vega can deal with.
And no one inherently just has more. He could use items a little bit better, and unfortunately for VP Polar, the cooldown of Ravage is slightly longer than the respawn timer of the Viper. So yes, they did kill off the Viper, but now they actually just can't fight this, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Vega are going to commit their Death Prophet ultimate for this tower. It was pretty much dead no matter what, as VP had zero chance of defending, but I guess it's going to be dying a lot quicker now. So tower down, and they'll be able to back off, maybe towards top lane where Illidan is split pushing and might take a tower of his own, and yes, it will fall. Does he have Replicate out? No, he doesn't. Fortunately for him, that was a bluff TP by whoever decided to cancel it, so Illidan's going to be unpunished. It's going to be a 2 for 2 tier 2 for a tier 2 trade. For VP Polar, that's actually pretty good, since it didn't look like they were going to get anything out of that.
Yeah, so in the end, Vega, they still get something out of the opportunity to take that push, but the advantage is in the side of VP Polar. About 5,000 in the gold and experience very much in their favor, about 12,000. There is a charge going up from Spirit Breaker, but that's just a counter push up towards top. With 12-second cooldown on charge, you can be very free about moving around the map. Illidan Stormrage taking a lot of damage. You should be able to strike Morph through anything. Viper's able to throw at him, and in the end, just is able to casually walk that one off.
Really, the only person that Morphling I think has to be scared of, Death Prophet and Spirit Breaker, any form of crowd control, will let Stallianer land those additional hits, and with the Yasha and now maxed out Nether Toxin, he's doing some pretty decent damage on top of his inherent tank ability. No one is actually going to catch the Morphling. If this silence lands, Morphling is completely screwed, however, no, it won't. Manta Style split. Well, actually, he had Manta Style, so there was no way he would have gotten down there. Morphling is going to be just fine. They need hard lockdown. Silence and Yule Scepter, it's nice, but it's not good enough.
Yeah, they need a scythe on somebody or just a way to make Spirit Breaker be able to get up into the fight. Maybe get a lucky bash or two. I'm not exactly sure. Their hard lockdown is incredibly limited. And honestly, I think Death Prophet after this BKB, a scythe would be a worthy investment for no one.
And for pretty much anyone else on Vega who could possibly afford it, but it doesn't look like that's really going to be the case for any of their team members. Viper's going to go for the Sanjin Yasha. It looks like maybe a BKB Yasha wouldn't be too terrible either, but as far as additional items, you got actually a Blade Mail and the Spirit Breaker. I think this is a pretty okay build for this game. It's unlikely that it's going to do a lot of damage, but sometimes you just have to dissuade the enemy from attacking you, and that just means Spirit Breaker is going to be able to land that additional charge. FNG is now going to get charged by Seema. Will get thrown up into the air, the Spirit Breaker. I think there's a Yule Scepter on Lil, and there is. The Mystic Flare is nowhere close to anyone, and now Arseek might actually survive because of it. No, way too much damage from these two supports. Seema, unfortunately, unable to connect with that many hits, and Dazzle's going to go down. Now Seema's going to be the one to be chased down. Magic Missile level 1 is going to land. Seema's going to pop the Blade Mail, try to charge in for FNG, gets a lucky bash, will get the kill because Vengeful Spirit commits suicide on the Blade Mail. I mean, that just happened, but it's still 2-for-1 in favor of VP Polar.
Yeah, and they also get the tower in mid, I believe, that fell to the Morphling. So VP Polar, it's nothing but wins across the map, and they're getting more and more ahead as this game progresses, and Illidan Stormrage is going to get very close to completing up his shotgun, and once he has that, killing the likes of the Dazzle before he's able to get off the Grave is going to be pretty easy, or maybe even the Phoenix before he's able to get off the Supernova, although that one's less likely unless they have a silence from the Skywrath Mage involved.
Yeah, I always underestimate how much damage a shotgun can do, but it seems like there are 2, maybe 3 good targets in the Phoenix, Spirit Breaker, and Dazzle. Death Prophet is BKB. Viper is never going to die to a shotgun ever, so that's definitely off the table. It still will be a lot of agility for Morphling at the very least, and when you have a Manta Style and a truckload of agility base, any sort of extra agility items can make your illusions hit like trucks. They're going to try to go for Roshan. No one is going to get dropped pretty low because of it. Seema's going to charge out of the pit straight towards Lil. He's going to get thrown up into the air, though. No Nether Strike. Actually, it was on cooldown. Now he's going to get silenced. Lil, he's got to back off because of that Blade Mail as the rest of the team finishes off Roshan. Those heroes just running interference, and for 2 supports, that's a pretty nice job.
It definitely is. So, after a little bit of a slow portion of this game for Vega at the very least, they find some sort of momentum. And right now this game feels pretty even on either side. Death Prophet a little bit behind the puck, but I kind of already covered that. We're going to see a Ravage going to land onto the poor Dazzle and the Spirit Breaker, and that'll be the end of their lives with the Mystic Flare on top of that. Afterlife has disconnected.
Right, just a very easy blink forward, silence, blink forward, Ravage. For 2 supports, Ravage is, I would say, probably better than just ravaging the Viper, especially since now Viper has the Agency of the Immortal. But VP Polar, they spent an awful lot in order to get those 2 kills, and though it is nice to not have to deal with Weave, not have to deal with Shallow Grave or the heal, it's still possible for Vega to fight right now. Actually, never mind, because they don't have Exorcism. Never mind, VP Polar. They have a lot of space. They have a minute where their Ravage is going to be cooling down, where Vega can't really make a play. But this is all just time and space that Illidan needs to abuse. He needs to get a lot of farm with these small windows of time that VP Polar are building for him.
Yeah. This next minute, he's probably not going to outright complete up the shotgun, but within the next 2, I think that's kind of your window for Illidan to pick that up. And Morphling does get incredibly scary. Once he gets those 2 first items completed, Manta Style and Ethereal Blade's going to give him quite a lot of agility to work with, and he has only died once, and that death probably was avoidable. I think that was where he was just flirting with the enemy up towards top.
Yeah, so the Morphling is still doing pretty well for himself. And we'll take a quick look at all the items for VP Polar. We have that Yule Scepter up on the Skywrath Mage, which is actually pretty impressively purchased, though 715. Not too surprising that he would get that much gold. Also going to go for a Vit booster for his hero. So Skywrath Mage all of a sudden is a lot more of a potent threat than he usually is. Puck also packing that Dagon, as is the typical follow-up for DK Phobos after the Midas, after Power Treads, of course. And he's going to be doing some additional damage as well. Will not really stand up to the Death Prophet as far as damage output, but it's still pretty decent. There's nothing on the Venge, but Tide is going to go for the Refresher Orb, and he should have enough mana to double Ravage by the time he actually gets it. So once that happens, then it'll be a lot easier for them to try to pick off this Viper.
Yeah, so we are currently stalled out. It would be wonderful to know why Lil has actually disconnected. But still, this game's kind of stalled out at about that 5,000 mark, an advantage for Virtus Pro Polar, and that gold really hasn't changed much. It's really the experience where they're, I don't know, getting a lead. Level 11 on everybody, at the very least, on their team. With a level 2 swap available, there's just not anything mirroring that on the side of Vega. Level 10 on the Phoenix, and 9 on both of their supports. And even their cores. Puck is leading the pack, and that's not to be unexpected, since he was mid and went for the Midas. Level 17 at less than 27 minutes is a great leveling time for the Puck.
Right, and for Vega, they don't really have any huge items that's going to suddenly mean that they're going to be unkillable or anything like that. I think their peak is right about now when their Death Prophet has the BKB, has the Yule Scepter, will be able to stay on the front lines reliably enough, assuming she gets the BKB off. If she does do so, then Vega are going to be able to take some pretty decent fights. Their late game, though, is pretty much just this. I mean, they have Exorcism, they have a BKB on the Viper. These all will help, but they're going up against a Morphling, and Morphling is one of the kings of the late game. Vega, they have yet to crack the high ground. I would say they have probably another 15-ish minutes before the high ground just gets out of reach for them, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem like they're getting quite enough on their heroes right now.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. I think it's going to rely more on Virtus Pro Polar wasting Ravage to where Vega could actually go high ground. Because pushing high ground up into Virtus Pro Polar's teamfight is incredibly scary for Vega. The only real way that they have to, or ways to start a fight, is Yule Scepter and a Silencer and a Death Prophet, which isn't reliable onto pretty much anything. Puck can Yule's that one off, Morphling can Manta out of that. Tidehunter has Kraken Shell as well, and might end up just ravaging your whole team. And outside of that, they have a Charge and Spirit Breaker ultimate, which at this point is also pretty easy to work around for VPP.
Yeah, it's nice to have the stuns, but as far as starting fights, you'd need a little bit better than that. Maybe if there's a BKB on the Spirit Breaker, they could get away with that initiation outside of the VP Polar base, but that's not going to happen. He has 300 gold, and it doesn't look like he's going to get any gold anytime soon, so we are going to get paused. Never mind. Don't get your hopes up, guys, because this is Dota we're talking about. Very finicky, and it will always be gray screened. Yeah, I don't know. That's going on. Of course they have that.
I think he's just explaining that N equals G. Maybe?
Yeah. See with this layer laying down the math. It's true, guys. Variables N equals G all the time in every single scenario.
Isn't that right, though? Like, isn't this, like, Russian for GG?
And then
I thought that's what it was.
I have no idea. I don't speak anything like that, man. I don't know those languages. They're all too hard, too scary. Not gonna learn them.
Okay. Well, maybe we do have G coming out from both sides. We are going to get back into this game as Illidan Stormrage does give the good to go. Virtus Pro Polar, they have just used their Ravage, and right now I think we are in for about 2 minutes or a minute or so where they're just going to look to farm, and Vega without their supports can't really accomplish much either. Just looking to complete up that BKB on the Viper.
And once he has that, there should also be leveled, maybe level 16 Exorcism. At the very least, it'll be refreshed. So Vega with the fresh BKB, with Exorcism, that's hopefully going to be level 3. Maybe they could look for a high ground push. They could probably take this tier 2 down without using Exorcism. They could just slowly chip that away and can be relatively successful in doing so. But anything else, they have to be going for high ground soon enough. Illidan Stormrage is going to lead Vega on a wild goose chase. He has Replicate, and he's going to, first of all, Manta dodge his Nether Strike, then jump away all the way to the fountain. He should have not used Manta there. You can bring Spirit Breaker back with you.
Yeah, and he's going to be just fine, except for the Death Prophet up in top, forced to use the BKB. They're charging DK Phobos, and no one is going to be able to make his retreat, but that's the first BKB charge used purely defensively. DK Phobos is able to phase shift, blink out, swap onto Seema's Slayer. They're going to Magic Missile him up, but Seema's pretty darn tanky. Maybe not tanky enough for the Skywrath Mage, however. They drop him down to the ground, silence him up, can't do anything, bashes up FNG, runs through the Mystic Flare. Seema's still surviving, but not for long. He's brought down by an Arcane Bolt of Lil.
You could only Blade Mail for so long. It kept the Skywrath Mage from actually using the Flare. That's why he concussived and then Yules, because he knew the Mystic Flare was not going to do anything. In fact, it'll probably kill him faster than it'll kill the Spirit Breaker. But either way, they do kill off the Spirit Breaker in the end, and that's just nothing but one pick for VP Polar. Spirit Breaker, unfortunately, by himself, with only a Blade Mail Power Treads, not good enough for 30 minutes into the game. He needs one, maybe two other items if he's going to be handling those supports. So Spirit Breaker really has to make sure to not get too ahead of the rest of the team, and that's actually a pretty easy thing to do as Spirit Breaker. Just charge ahead because you're moving so quickly, and then suddenly your teammates aren't there, and you're completely screwed.
Yeah. Illidan does have enough gold now to complete up that shotgun, so expect that to come out for him very soon. Looks like he's just going to send his courier over to the side shop. Vega are putting a little bit of pressure on this tier 2 tower up top, but they can't really commit to this one, especially now that Ravage is up and VPP have some pretty major items. Puck, the Midas is starting to pay for itself as he has started to level up that Dagon. That's pretty scary amounts of burst, especially for the likes of Dazzle and the Phoenix. They're going to look for Poison Attack onto the Puck. Can't find it. He'll be able to blink away to safety, although Vega are poised to strike. Let's see how this goes down. Currently, it's a 5v2 if it's just the Puck and the Skywrath Mage, but there is TPs available, and Illidan does have a replicate close by. Or where is his replicate, actually? It's on the Venge. He is sending that up towards top.
It'll be close enough for a fight, I think, and they probably will need it. No one is going to pop his level 3 Exorcism to try to go for this tower. This tower is not going to last very long, as Seema's going to charge right in. He's not going to connect onto the Puck because it hasn't worked the first time, nor the third time, or the fourth time. Maybe it'll work the fifth, probably not. It's going to be just a clean tower destruction, but it still will be a trade. These destructions for Vega just aren't quite good enough because of the fact that Illidan is always split pushing. He's going to get caught in the silence. He's going to turn around for a shotgun. No one is going to do a lot of damage with Seema. He will get the kill onto Illidan. Silence Up couldn't do anything. Now FNG is just awkwardly here. He's going to get another struck, and now the beatdown is going to commence. He doesn't have a chance in hell, and he's going to go down, making it a double kill for Vega on top of the tower destruction, or tower trade, rather. Looks like that should be it, although they're chasing for DK Phobos. Vega, they took down a tier 2 tower. They took down the Morphling. Maybe that's good enough. I think it actually is.
Yeah, I think it is. Before that, VP Polar, I think the trade favors them, since they didn't have to really commit anything to defend. But yeah, Morphling, Illidan, as a player, does tend to play things pretty fast and loose, wants to live on the razor's edge and be a baller. Honestly, he probably could have just replicated out of there and still got the tower with illusions, but in the end, just stuck around a little too long, gets silenced up, and when you're silenced as Morphling, you're a sad Morphling.
That silence lasts for quite a long time as well, or it feels like it lasts forever if you're that Morphling, and the Ethereal Blades helps to, try to slow down some of that damage, but certainly not going to be enough. DK Phobos, in the meantime, cutting some creep waves. Got to be really cautious there. Someone else has to be cautious. It's top lane where Mag is going to get caught with a Viper Strike. He has a Force Staff, he has a Blink Dagger, but you can't actually blink out of this, and he's going to be going down. Very easily done by Viper with a little bit of RZ help, I suppose. Viper was pretty much all alone in that, as Dazzle didn't contribute that much.
Then again, it is going to secure some extra experience for Zeke, and I think that's completely fine for him to be there. Viper already has his level 16, so that's not super important that he got that kill, but it's still nice for them. Illidan Storage going to bump into a whole lot of enemy heroes. Ethereal Blade Shotgun doesn't wait for him, however, onto the Phoenix and Afterlife will be able to mech up and Icarus dive out of there safely.
Seema is right around the corner from the Morphling. He's going to start with the Nether Strike, doing half of Illidan Stormage's health in damage. He does still have a replicate, and he's going to get out to safety up the top lane. Meantime, the rest of the fight is going to break out. Puck is going to land a pretty nice coil onto 2, but now he's completely surrounded. He's going to throw himself into the air, or get thrown up into the air one way or another. He will jaunt out to his orb, and it looks like that should be it, although here comes the Space Cow, charging forward for a little bit more. DK Phobos should see this one coming. Easy dodge there. Seema once again is going to fail. What a surprise. He is going to still do a lot of damage. DK Phobos would not hit the last right click, and Afterlife with the Sunray. Puck hiding. Will burn? No, will blink and TP out. Is he really going to live? Fire Spirits miss, and DK Phobos makes his escape.
Very unfortunate, but then again, FNG probably not going to be so lucky. Dodges the Magic Missile with the Supernova, and now the beatdown commences onto FNG. It's going to be dropped by the Dazzles. Afterlife is born anew. The Scarth Mage dies up to the Viper in top, and Viper is able to walk out there casually on top of it all. Viper is currently sending out just a TP, but does have 3,000 gold that he can build towards his next major item. Honestly, I think him going for a Manta Style wouldn't be bad at all for Stellianer. But I'm not exactly sure where your item progression goes from here.
I just have a question. Why the hell was the Vengeful Spirit there? Like, there was nothing nearby. The Puck was doing Puck things. That was no place for a Vengeful Spirit. That was no place for any hero. Oh, up towards top lane, though. Illidan Stormrage, he's going to get caught with a Sheep Stick. He's going to Manta Style split and then jump all the way to the mid lane. He is not actually having that much strength. This is pretty standard for Morphlings with an Ethereal Blade, but he really has to be careful. That Nether Strike chunked him down so hard. If he gets sheeped after that, then he's just going to be completely screwed. I think he needs to sit at like 1200 HP at bare minimum if he wants to feel safe.
Well, Puck going to get used up. Silence doesn't come out from the Death Prophet or is dodged by the phase shift, and that's going to be the end of that. Yeah, this Morphling ends up just, I don't know, chilling. As long as he doesn't use the Manta Style, he probably will be able to get out of there alive, but definitely would be a lot safer on some more HP. Mag going to bump into Afterlife. There's an Icarus dive on this Phoenix, and honestly, Mag can't really go for this unless he has some backup. Scarth Mage comes through, the Mystic Flare, and Afterlife drops in low, but the mechanism is going to save him for now. Blink forward, Anchor Smash on Afterlife. Will be able to Icarus dive over the trees and survives at least for a little bit longer. There's an Arcane Bolt flying that should be fatal. He doesn't have any more heal. He's going to smoke. Is that actually disjointed? I don't think so. Afterlife, Stick Charge is still going to die inside the base. They are going to find another kill onto the Scarth Mage in return after bringing him down with the Dazzle and the Death Prophet. And now Eul Scepter on the Tidehunter, canceling his TP, and now is going to be in a whole heap of trouble. He is going to crack and shell off the Silence. Doesn't end up mattering. In the end, the trade favors Vega.
All right, well, Stellianer did a surprising amount of damage there, due in part thanks to that Demon Edge, and he's going to be going for an MKB, so Manta Style be damned, he's going to go whole hog. He wants to get a lot of that green damage, and he's going to get it, so VP Polar, they first of all take an awkwardly placed engagement. You don't really want to be fighting down south that far away from the rest of the team. Generally not a good idea, and Vega get a good fight because of it. Really, that was to be expected when VP Polar take a fight that's that scattered and that far away from reinforcements. So VP Polar maybe have to tighten up the screws a little bit. They didn't use a Ravage, but still they got picked off pretty well, and that should have just been a clean kill on the Phoenix, though they did get the kill in the end. It took a hell of a long time, and I thought the Phoenix was actually going to survive, just because with Mech and Tranquil Boots, you have quite a bit of regen.
Definitely. DK Phobos, his decision to go for this Dagon, it's okay, especially with the Ethereal Blade and Morphling, it does quite a bit. But I still haven't felt the impact of that item, but an item that should have an immediate change on this game is Tidehunter and his Refresher Orb. With the Arcane Boots, Force Staff has plenty of mana to use it, especially since he doesn't have the level 16 ultimate either. But in the meantime, it's Vega to go into the Roshan pit. Their smoke hasn't been popped, even though Morphling's close. He's not close enough, and it looks like they're going to try to sneak it. Although Roshan hasn't respawned and won't do until almost max time. They might find engagement. They'll scythe up Lil. Now charging him down. He is going to be ripped apart by the Exorcism. The damage is too immense. TP away from the Vengeful Spirit is going to keep her alive, and everybody else is going to be able to avoid death. Morphling is split pushing bottom, whereas Puck is up towards top.
That's completely justifiable what just happened for no one. Popped Exorcism, popped BKB as soon as he saw the target, because you don't want to get interrupted by a Ravage or anything like that. Unfortunately, the BKB actually didn't do anything, and Exorcism, for the most part, is going to be wasted, or they had a lot of wasted time. They're still going to try to go for this push because Stellianer is doing so much damage, but a Blink out of Ravage, going to connect out to absolutely everyone, will kill off the Dazzle immediately. Now a double Ravage is going to put a lot more damage into no one. He's going to go down as well. Stellianer, the BKB, is going to be surviving this. Double Ravage for 2 kills, with VP Polar all focusing down that Death Prophet. They're going to try to chase forward. Force Stellianer will drop a coil on him, but a quick TP out, and suddenly, actually, Eul Scepter means that Stellianer is not so safe after all. He's getting struck with Magic Missile, and now a Dagon Blast from DK Phobos to secure the kill. VP Polar get 3 kills, and look at that. Roshan is just about ready to spawn. Pretty conveniently timed by VP Polar, and pretty poorly timed by Vega, though you can't really blame him for trying to go for that push with the rest of Exorcism. It certainly was a risky move.
Yeah, I do like the move in theory, but the Roshan timer is actually the worst for Vega. It was like a couple seconds off of being max respawn timers, so going for a smoke pickoff and then a Roshan was the plan with that Exorcism. They still get a little bit of chip onto the tier 3 and draw out 2 Ravages, but still fine for Virtus Pro Polar, especially since they'll get a Roshan afterwards. FNG is tanking Roshan, getting bashed a little bit too much for comfort, although he's going to earn up a little bit. Survives at about 200 HP, but that's okay. That's an Aegis for Illidan Stormrage.
And now with this, he's very comfortable at sitting at 1 strength or 1 base strength. And he's also going to be going for what looks like a Lincoln Sphere. Ordinarily, the build would be Lincoln Sphere first if you do get it. But in this game, knowing you're up against a Hex and a Viper Strike, I think it is okay to go for this build. At least it should be a Lincoln's for the Morphling. He's going to be hunting down towards bottom. And if Dazzle goes a little bit too far, he's going to get a face full of buckshot.
Yeah, and that's not something he can be comfortable doing. Seema is charging up towards top, looking towards this Tidehunter, and he is going to spot out Mag. Can he actually get this kill solo? He does have the Atos to slow him down further. It's actually the Dazzle to be obliterated by the Morphling. The face full of buckshot, as you said. Ultimate on the Mag instantly purged off, and now with the ultimate from the Scarlet Mage into Seema, he's bitten off way more than he can chew. Dropped down by the Scarlet Mage. Yeah, going for solo kills on Tidehunter is a support Spirit Breaker, probably not advised.
Right, as promised, shotgun combo annihilating the Dazzle, and as said before, Spirit Breaker is just one of those heroes that tends to get a little bit too far ahead of himself. He has a Rod of Atos now, so keeping the distance and sticking on your target is certainly very nice, but you actually have to kill them while you're sticking on them. FNG is going to try TP out from this scenario, but he will get hexed up and he will be brought down, making even trade up towards top. Or maybe not, because there's a Gem of True Sight now on the floor. Vengeful Spirit was packing some pretty precious cargo and just got picked off where the rest of her teammates just bailed out. So FNG going to die yet another time that could have been avoided, and this time is going to be seriously punished because of it.
Yeah. Morphling continuously pushing out. There hasn't really been any super big amounts of pressure coming out from Virtus Pro Polar into the high ground, and although the Puck and the Morphling have a lot of net worth, it just doesn't feel super impactful, although he is going to put a lot of damage into that tier 3 tower, taking it down, now eating in to poor no one with the double damage roll on the Morphling. He's getting Sunray down, but will be able to replicate out of there. Afterlife is picking up one of the items that I'm most curious about in the entire Dota game. They are going to clean up these Morphling illusions, but not before they drop the melee barracks low. Doesn't matter, because that damage isn't going to stick. We'll be healed up. But Afterlife with the Ags. With Supernova, you can actually refresh the ultimate and all spells of your ally, as well as give them a full HP pool. With the heroes on Vega, I'm not sure if that's super important. Honestly, the Spirit Breaker is probably the best one to have a refreshed ultimate. But maybe there's going to be some clutch saves. But then again, if the egg dies while both of them are in them, they both die. So that could suck.
Right, I don't know if this is... I don't know what happens if you bring the Death Prophet into the egg while her ultimate is going. Maybe that works, which will be a nice, cute combo, but no one's actually being chased by Illidan Stormrage right now, so might not even be relevant. What is more relevant is that in the Morphlings pushing down towards bottom, he forced no one to use Exorcism, which means that Vega cannot go aggressive for another minute or so towards VP Polar, and Illidan Stormrage is going to try to go for Arzeek. It won't happen because he gets silenced midway, but he's going to purge that one off and then try to just blast him from across the way. It will once again not be enough, but this is Illidan Stormrage pushing this lane out just by himself, and he pulled 3-4 heroes up to this top lane, while the rest of his team is doing whatever the hell they want. And just like that, Illidan Stormrage with Boots of Travels now going to rejoin this fight as they smoke up. They're going to look for no one. Ravage going to connect and obliterate both the Dazzle and the Death Prophet. Shotgun from DK Phobos, and just pure damage on the Dazzle. And they're also going to pick off Afterlife, who decided to dive in for whatever reason. That's not a good idea. That's not a good place to be. That's going to be very clean 3 kills for VP Polar, and they have a refresher orb that they can use if they want to go for more. They're going to slide down to the bottom lane because there is no tier 3 tower there, or at least they should. Mag might not have gotten the memo, but no, they're going to go down towards bottom. And Vega, they have no Exorcism. I don't think they could defend without an Exorcism.
My goodness, that firepower from VP Polar, the shotgun combination for the Puck and Illidan is ridiculous. That's a free lane of barracks, and there's not really going to be a fight for Vega because honestly, they can't do it. They haven't seen Mag pop the refresher, and that's because he hasn't. Honestly, I think that might be a little bit of a mistake coming out from this Tidehunter since they are looking for more, but I suppose they just didn't expect it to be that easy. They'll swap in the Death Prophet. Instant Yules is going to delay this. BKB on impact. They might not be able to focus down no one as the Morphling isn't hitting her, and that physical damage isn't super immense. They will drop her to about half and force out the Exorcism. For now, VP Polar might just be happy with that. They'll gush up the Spirit Breaker on the sidelines. BKB on Stully, and you're trying to focus down anybody you can, but there's your Ravage from Mag. They'll be able to blow up the Death Prophet. They did that earlier on. There's a Supernova, but they'll be able to focus that one down. That's Phoenix down. Didn't even have anybody else inside of it. The Spirit Breaker and the Viper, the only ones to survive, and Seema the Slayer, not for much longer as he's pursued out by the Morphling. Looks like Seema is going to die. Just a couple more right clicks, looking for the TP out after the charge. He's gonna hit a creep! Oh my goodness, he didn't go towards top lane, and in the end, that's going to end his life. Viper is currently against the entire enemy team, minus the Tidehunter, and it's GG, well played by Noah.
Well, that was certainly very interesting. First of all, Supernova. Unfortunately, it's going to be another day where we have to hopefully wait and see the Aghanim Scepter, because the Aghanims did not do a single thing in this game. The Spirit Breaker TP away was certainly very cute, but yeah, he did something wrong and ended up charging the wrong dude. And Virtus Pro Polar, slow and steady, but they actually do win the race. By the end of the game, Puck and Morphling, man, double Ethereal Blade combos, no one is really safe from Vega.
Yeah, they really aren't. Well, thanks for watching. This has been Game 1 of a best-of-3 series between both of these teams in the Battle of Central Europe Season 3 here on HeflaTV HP1. I've been Grandis Feet, joined by Mike Loris, and we'll have Game 2 coming up shortly. Let's see if Vega are going to be able to make a comeback.